Imagine standing on the edge of an endless abyss, a vast black void that promises nothing but the unknown. Your heart races, fear claws at your chest, and your instincts scream to step back. But here's the twist. What if, in that moment, you weren't meant to flee? What if, instead of fear, there was a surge of exhilaration, a call to leap, to embrace the unknown, to become something new, something powerful? This is the core of Nietzsche's philosophy, an invitation to stop playing by the world's rules and start living your life on your own terms. It's not about perfection, or power, or godlike superiority. It's about something much deeper, self-overcoming. The question isn't, how do you fit in? It's, how can you outgrow yourself today, right now, and become who you were truly meant to be? Let me ask you, what if your life, as it is not the life you were meant to live? What if the only thing standing between you and your true potential is your willingness to choose differently, to create your own meaning, to refuse to be defined by anyone or anything other than yourself? Picture this for a second. Imagine choosing your own destiny, not just a few moments, but every moment. No external approval needed, no labels, just you, embracing the unknown with open arms. Are you ready? Ready to face the abyss, not with fear, but with exhilaration? Ready to leap into a reality where you stand out, not fit in? This is the radical challenge Nietzsche throws at us. Will you take the leap into becoming something extraordinary, or will you let the world keep you in a box? The power to choose your future is in your hands. The Übermensch, becoming what you are. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast abyss, staring into the unknown. Your heart races, but instead of fear, you feel an unexpected rush of exhilaration. It's not the panic of falling, but the thrill of stepping into something new. This is what Nietzsche asks us to do, to find ourselves on the edge, where the ground beneath us feels uncertain, but the air feels alive with possibility. The Übermensch isn't some distant, unattainable figure, nor a superhero with magical powers. It's not about seeking power for power's sake. It's about leaping into the unknown and becoming the creator of your own life. Nietzsche calls this the ultimate challenge, to break free from the constraints of society and redefine what is possible for yourself. Nietzsche's Zarathustra tells us, man is something that shall be overcome. But what does that really mean in our day-to-day lives? Think of the countless labels we live with: success, failure, happiness, despair. Society hands us these labels like a ready-made set of clothes we're supposed to wear. But what happens if those labels don't fit? What if we're not meant to fit into these boxes at all? What if your path isn't about following a map that's already drawn, but creating your own? For instance, imagine you're in a job that everyone expects you to keep because it's stable or respectable, but you feel like you're suffocating. You're good at it, but it doesn't inspire you. You keep telling yourself, I should be happy with this, right? Nietzsche would challenge that thinking. Instead of asking, what am I supposed to do? Ask yourself, what do I choose to become? What if you leap into the unknown and choose to pursue something you're passionate about, even if it's uncertain? The Übermensch is about self-overcoming, not rejecting your humanity, but embracing it fully, without limitation. Think about the times you've faced failure. Maybe you've tried to launch a project or start a new habit, only to fall short. Society might say you failed, but Nietzsche would ask, what if those failures weren't the end of the road? What if they were the very thing that would help you grow? What if your flaws are the tools you need to shape your most powerful self? Let's say you're struggling with body image or self-esteem. Society tells us what ideal looks like. But what if you let go of those standards and chose your own path to health, strength, and confidence? You're not trying to fit into someone else's mold. You're building your own, based on what feels true to you. Nietzsche's message is clear. You don't have to conform to society's idea of success. You are meant to create your own. But the question is deeper than just rejecting societal expectations. It's about living authentically, without masks or compromises. Imagine for a moment, living without fear of judgment or approval. What if, instead of seeking validation from others, you simply chose to live according to your own standards of greatness? What if you stopped waiting for someone to give you permission to be who you truly are? The Übermensch is constantly evolving, always becoming more. He doesn't settle for mediocrity, and he doesn't wait for life to hand him opportunities. He creates his own path, even if it's difficult or uncertain. Think about the next big challenge in your life. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or the right conditions, what if you just jumped in, taking ownership of every step, even if it's messy or hard? What if you embraced your greatest struggles, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to build strength? Imagine, for example, that moment when you're faced with a personal crisis, a breakup, a financial setback, a health scare. Nietzsche challenges us to reframe those struggles, not as things to fear or avoid, but as fuel for our growth. What if you could transform your suffering into power, your pain into purpose? Nietzsche calls us to leap into that abyss, not in fear, but in exhilaration. The Übermensch doesn't run from life's challenges. He runs towards them. He embraces the unknown, knowing it's the only way to become who he is truly meant to be. The real question is, will you take that leap? Will you choose to become something extraordinary, even if it means facing the unknown? It's your choice. Are you ready to start? Have you ever wondered what it would mean for your life to start creating your own path, free from the labels and external expectations? Drop a comment below, sharing your thoughts on the concept of the Übermensch and how you can apply it to your own journey. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now so you don't miss any videos that will transform the way you think about yourself and the world around you. Let's embark on this journey of self-discovery together. The eternal return. Embrace the life you live. Now let's dive into one of Nietzsche's most terrifying yet liberating ideas, the eternal return. This isn't just an abstract concept. It's a radical challenge that demands a personal reckoning with life itself. Nietzsche asks us to imagine something that shakes us to our core. What if you had to live your life exactly as it is, over and over again, for all eternity? Pause for a moment. Imagine every choice you've ever made, every success, every failure, every fleeting moment of joy or sorrow, repeating forever. Not just the good parts, but the painful moments, the mistakes, the regrets. Would you embrace it? Would you run away from it? This isn't a philosophical puzzle meant to be tucked away in your mind. It's a test of your love for life. Nietzsche isn't asking, can you survive this life? He's asking, can you love it? Can you look at your life as imperfect as it may be and accept that this is the life you would live forever, again and again? Think about the small, seemingly insignificant moments, like that awkward conversation you wish you could forget, or the day you made a huge mistake at work. What if those very moments, those embarrassments, were woven into the fabric of your life forever? Would you still be able to say, yes, I would live this life again? What if you didn't need to run from the pain, but instead embraced it as part of your story? Here's the kicker. Zarathustra proposes the eternal return as the ultimate affirmation of life itself. It's not about simply enduring existence. Nietzsche challenges us to love it, not just the good moments, but everything. The victories, the mistakes, the heartbreaks. The times we feel on top of the world and the times we feel completely lost. What if every mistake you regret was the very catalyst for your growth? What if every failure was a stepping stone towards the person you are becoming? Let's put this into perspective. Imagine a difficult breakup. You feel devastated. In that moment, it's easy to wish it never happened. But what if, looking back, you could see that that breakup was the turning point that pushed you to grow stronger, wiser, and more self-aware? What if you could say, I needed that pain, and I would live it again because it helped me become who I am now? That's the power of Amor Fati, the love of fate. It's not about accepting life passively. It's about actively choosing to embrace every part of it, even the parts we wish we could erase. Now think about your daily decisions. Every choice you make, what you say to others, how you spend your time, the risks you take is shaping your life, moment by moment. What if those choices were to be replayed forever? Would you choose differently? The eternal return challenges us to take responsibility for every action, to feel the weight of every moment, knowing that our lives are not just a series of random events, but a continuous loop that we are creating with every breath. Could you say yes to your life, all of it, even the painful parts? Could you love it enough to repeat it eternally? Nietzsche is asking us to look at our lives, not with regret, but with joy, and say, I choose this. I choose everything that came with it. This, Nietzsche says, is freedom. The freedom to not only accept your fate, but to celebrate it, not as a passive victim of circumstances, but as a creator of your own existence. And this is where Amor Fati comes in, the love of fate. It's not about fighting against life, but about dancing with it. It's about embracing every part of it, the highs and the lows, and saying, I wouldn't change a thing. This is my life, and I choose it fully. Imagine, for example, you've always struggled with a certain insecurity. It might be your appearance, your skills, or your place in the world. Nietzsche would challenge you to not hide from this insecurity, but to love it because it's part of the whole picture. What if, instead of wishing it away, you embraced it, knowing that this very imperfection was teaching you something invaluable? The eternal return and Amor Fati don't ask us to escape life's imperfections. They ask us to accept them as vital pieces of our growth. So I ask you again, could you choose to live your life over and over exactly as it is? Could you love your fate, every success, every failure, every heartbreak, and say, yes, this is my life and I embrace it? Nietzsche's invitation is not just to think about life, it's to live it, to celebrate it, and to choose it actively. The question is, are you ready to say yes to the life you have with all its flaws and beauty? Amor Fati, love of fate. Now we arrive at the most radical, yet potentially the most liberating idea of all. Amor Fati, the love of fate. If the eternal return and the Übermensch have already challenged the very way you think about life, then Amor Fati demands that you transform the way you feel about it. Nietzsche's Zarathustra urges us to not merely accept life's twists and turns, but to embrace them, to love them, as if, in some strange and powerful way, we chose them ourselves. At first, this idea might feel like a slap in the face. We are conditioned to fight against life's challenges, to constantly strive for something better, something different. In today's world, we're told that happiness means freedom from struggle and that fulfillment means escaping suffering. We are taught that to succeed in life is to avoid hardship and discomfort, but Nietzsche flips that script entirely. What if, instead of fighting fate, we learn to love it? What if we stopped wishing our life away, wishing for a different past, a different set of circumstances, and simply accepted that everything that has happened, every hardship, every pain, every loss is exactly as it should be? What if these struggles aren't just random accidents, but part of your destiny, a destiny that's guiding you to your greatest transformation? Amor Fati asks you to stop running from discomfort, to stop avoiding pain, and to stop seeing imperfection as an obstacle to happiness. It calls you to embrace your life as it is, even when it feels out of control, messy, or overwhelming. Nietzsche challenges us to see every part of our journey, not as something to escape from, but as something to embrace. This is the essence of Amor Fati, to love your fate, even when it's difficult, even when it feels like the world is falling apart. Think about it for a second. Could you truly love your fate? Could you love every painful part of it, every failure, every betrayal, every heartbreak? Could you look back at the hardest times of your life and say, I wouldn't change a thing? Because if you could, you would free yourself from the constant need to escape discomfort, to avoid suffering. You would stop wishing things were different and instead realize that these very experiences are shaping you into something greater. Here's the deeper truth. You can't escape life. You can't run away from yourself, from your own fate. So why not embrace it fully? In doing so, you become unshakable. You step into your own existence with power, no longer running, no longer fighting against the current. You begin to live with intention, knowing that every failure is not the end of the road, but a necessary step on your path of becoming. Every disappointment is an opportunity to break free from the chains that have been holding you back and to create something new. Now let me ask you, can you live with the confidence that every setback, every mistake, every painful experience is actually a step toward your greatness? What if you began to see every disappointment not as a tragedy, but as a gift, something that shapes you into who you're meant to become? Could you embrace it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, knowing that it's all part of the story you're meant to live? This is the essence of Amor Fati, to love every part of your journey, to celebrate your fate, not just the moments that are easy or comfortable, but all of it. The good moments, the painful moments, the quiet moments, the loud ones, they're all part of the story that is uniquely yours, and they are all necessary for you to become who you are. Here's a personal example. Think about a time in your life when you felt like everything was falling apart. Maybe you lost a job, had a fight with someone close to you, or experienced a deep personal failure. In that moment, it felt like the end of the world, right? But what if you could look back now and see how those very experiences shaped your growth? What if you could see that without that loss or struggle, you wouldn't have the strength, resilience, or wisdom that you have now? That's Amor Fati in action. It's the power to see pain as a teacher and to welcome it as part of your journey, not something to avoid. This, my friends, is the freedom of Amor Fati. It frees you from the constant struggle to escape what is difficult and allows you to reclaim your life. No longer do you need to see your life as a series of unfortunate events to endure. Instead, it becomes a series of experiences to love, to cherish, and to transform. You are the creator of your destiny, and the first step to embracing your full potential is to embrace the life you have right now, not as you wish it would be, but as it truly is, with all its messiness, beauty, and pain. So let me ask you, could you live your life with joy and gratitude for everything, even for the struggles? Could you love your fate, knowing that everything in your life, every tear, every triumph, every lesson learned, is a piece of the puzzle that leads you to the person you are becoming? If you can say yes to that, then you've unlocked the ultimate freedom, the freedom to live without regret, without fear, and without hesitation. The path to becoming. As we reach the end of this exploration, we stand at the intersection of Nietzsche's most profound ideas, the Übermensch, the eternal return, and Amor Fati. These are not just abstract philosophical concepts. They are living, breathing challenges, invitations to step into life fully, deeply, and authentically, to live not as the world has decided for us, but as we choose to shape it. So let me ask you one last time. Who are you beneath the labels and the expectations? Are you ready to take the leap into the unknown and become what you truly are? The Übermensch doesn't settle for the life that's handed to him. He creates it. And the power to create your own life? It's in your hands. You don't need permission from anyone to become who you're meant to be. You are the artist of your soul, the sculptor of your destiny. But with that power comes a responsibility. The responsibility to embrace every moment, every choice, every struggle. Because the eternal return forces us to ask the crucial question, what would you do differently if you knew that each decision you make would echo forever? Would you live with more passion, more purpose, more intention? The eternal return is not about endless repetition. It's about living a life you could affirm again and again without regret. And this is where Amor Fati, the love of fate, comes to the forefront. Nietzsche doesn't want us to simply accept life's challenges. He calls on us to celebrate them. Every hardship, every failure, every moment of sorrow is a thread in the tapestry of who you're becoming. Can you love your fate? Not just the easy moments, but the tough, painful, and messy ones too. If you can, you unlock a deeper form of freedom, not freedom from life's struggles, but through them. As you move forward, remember this: you have the power to choose how you respond, how you grow, and who you become. Embrace the journey with all its highs and lows. Love your fate, love your becoming, and love the life you are living. Because in doing so, you will become exactly who you are meant to be, without fear, without apology, and without hesitation. This is the challenge Nietzsche sets before us, not to escape life, but to embrace it fully in all its beauty, pain, and uncertainty. Will you take that leap? Will you embrace the abyss and transform it into something glorious? The choice, my friend, is yours. Don't forget to like and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now to continue this journey of transformation with us. The best is yet to come.